Let's talk about the truth about Thanksgiving, the truth behind the feast, the truth that Abraham Lincoln turned this into a holiday, okay? So before I begin, I want you to breathe with me because truth like this has teeth, okay? It can be really uncomfortable with your spirit if you're not willing to accept the truth of it, okay? Truth was buried under propaganda, textbooks, and Thanksgiving tablecloths. Let me tell you something America tried to pretty up with cartoon turkeys and construction paper handprints. You remember the little turkeys we used to make in middle school, us Gen Xers? And these are the turkey feathers? Yeah, gobble gobble. Nah. A myth they fed us in elementary school like it was gospel, a fairy tale about harmony and friendship to cover up the blood still in the soil. But I studied anthropology. I studied psychology. I sat at the feet of the firekeepers in northern Michigan, the Potawatomi. And I've carried teachings from Turtle Island in my chest since I was a little girl trying to outrun my hometown. So I'm not going to repeat the lie. Now, we're going to learn the truth about this. So the truth is what sets ancestors free. The truth, even though it will make the living uncomfortable, we need to speak for the ancestors. The first Thanksgiving wasn't a feast, it was a funeral. They say the pilgrims landed at the Wampanoag and greeted them with open arms. They say they feasted as friends, shared food, passed peace pipes, and sat together in the glow of the setting sun. No, that's all a lie. Never happened. There was no peace. There was plague. European plague, wiping out indigenous nations before a single colonist said thank you. There was land theft, there was forced labor, there was rape, and there were broken treaties before the ink was even fucking dry. That's the truth. And that so-called first Thanksgiving, it wasn't gratitude, it was survival. It was the Wampanoag feeding desperate strangers because that's who they were, keepers of the land, caretakers of this land, not conquerors of the land. But what did they receive in return for opening their arms to the Europeans? Disease, violence, and genocide. This holiday is built on a graveyard, and the women and the bones we remember. Here's the part your history teacher never said out loud. Thanksgiving wasn't made official until 1863. Not in 1621 by the Pilgrims, no. President Abraham Lincoln, in the middle of the Civil War, after a string of bloody military victories over Native American nations and Confederate forces, needed unity. He needed morale boosted. He needed a story. So good old Abe, he grabbed the myth, dusted it off, and served it up as national tradition, not truth. Propaganda. And we all swallowed it. For fucking generations upon generations, we swallowed that lie. While America cuts turkey, my indigenous people cut through the lies. In Plymouth, Massachusetts, the Wampanoag and hundreds of Native people gather not to celebrate, but to mourn this day, to name the dead, to speak the truth America refuses to teach, to honor the ones stolen, starved, and silenced. It's called the National Day of Mourning. A day of truth, a day of resistance, a day where ancestors stand shoulder to shoulder behind every indigenous person who refuses to celebrate their own destruction. Kind of like women married to Republicans. You're married to someone who wants your rights taken away? How dumb are you? Why would Native Americans celebrate a day that stole their lives? Let me tell you about horrors. Let's call it what it was. Colonization was not peaceful. No, it was rape. It was murder. It was burning villages. It was Christianizing children by force. And it was taking babies from their mothers, locking them in boarding schools designed to kill the Indian and save the man. How fucking shitty is that? Tell me that is not the shittiest. It was outlawing ceremonies, outlawing our languages, outlawing identities. Everything people needed to live, they took it. And yet, Natives survived because genocide can take bodies, but it cannot kill the soul. No. My voice carries that fire as I was taught by the Potawatomi. Aho, bojo mije nase nobo. Talks a lot. My name is Talks a Lot. I speak this as a woman who was trained to think critically by colleges, education, mentors, Native leaders. I was trained to question the doctrine. I was trained to question the laws of the man. I was trained in books and spirit by professors, elders, and ancestors. I'm the goddess of the fucking mic. Period. And what I say carries fucking weight in this world and the next. I'm not going to dress up truth to make colonizers comfortable. I'm not going to pretend the past was peaceful when every history recorded says otherwise. It's a lie. My college mind brings the evidence. My goddess heart brings the clarity. And together, we create the flame. Spryte the Emcee, GD baby. So what are you doing with Thanksgiving? We're going to reclaim it. We're going to rewrite it. And we're going to repurpose it. Not as celebration of conquest, but as a day of remembrance, right? A day of gratitude for indigenous resilience. A day of honoring the original caretakers of this land. A day of mourning, but also a day of awakening. I was born pale-skinned in this life, so I can stand up for my African brothers and sisters, my Native American brothers and sisters, because we are all one source, no matter the color of your skin or the language you speak. I see you and I hear you, but I don't participate in the lie of Turkey Day. So this Thanksgiving, don't ask me for a plate. I'll be home alone, relaxing. Ask me for the truth. Ask me for the names of the tribes whose land you stand on, who you live on. Ask what gratitude really means when it's stripped of propaganda. I give thanks to the survivors, for the elders who carried that flame through centuries of darkness and were strong enough to give it to us. For the youth reclaiming the languages they were beaten for speaking 100 years ago. For every ancestor who whispers in my ear, keep talking, Spryte, keep sharing. And I give thanks for my indigenous cousins. Not the myth that America sold us, but for the truth that we keep alive today. This isn't a holiday, it's a reckoning. And as the goddess of the mic, I speak it, I honor it. I refuse to let the lie